Thanks for clicking on the video. In the last episode, I gave a preview of this object, which is the next stage of our model, and I talked about what it is we need to do. And what we need to do is we need to connect the values of the cut points so that they flow properly across the sections and across the spans. So let me give you one last preview of what this accomplishes. When I select this point here, which is a leader, big and red, and I adjust its cut value, let's say to 0.9, when I hit F5, oh, I didn't even have to hit F5. It adjusts the size right here. This is what just changed. Let me put it back, 0.6, hit enter. Okay, and you see how these points here move along. That's what we need to do. Let's do it. This is where we left things last time. First, I'm going to save as, and this will be called blend sync, will be the file that you have for the final object. And here, I had created, when I made these final objects here, the blend in between the blends, I made a folder for it, but I didn't put them inside. So let me grab these, put them inside. Let's also take all the objects we made last time, right below the patch, starting from grids to restore all the way to the end. And let's dump that into our patch. We have now basically filled the tree with folders here. After we do what we do today, we will do the final reorganization of these folders. And this will be the concept switch from organizing things by object type, as long as they're not on top of each other, which is good. You need to know how to do that. But we will switch to a much simpler organization that will have all the input objects at the beginning, the in-between steps in very few folders so we don't have to look at them, and then the final objects at the end, also easy to get to. But it's very useful to go through this to understand what the real steps are behind the process. And even later, when everything is automated, it's very helpful to know what's happening behind the scenes. So if you want to learn how to use Silk, all the tutorials so far are very valuable, even if the workflow is going to improve dramatically later. Okay, what do we need to look at right now? We don't need the final surfaces. We don't need the bits and pieces of the curves. We do want these points because that's what we're going to be editing, but it's really annoying right now because it's just a cloud. Let's turn on the curves. And let's also turn on the full surfaces for now. First thing we're going to do is color code all these points. So I open the point on curves, and what I'm going to say here, remember we have all these points are for the bottom section, these are for the middle section, top section, and all of these are for the spans. What I call a span is going from one section to another. So this is a span surface. This is a span curve, and these are span cutting points. Okay, let's start with the color coding. All the cutting points on the bottom layer, the bottom section, these are all going to be leaders. I'm going to make them bigger, point size 16, and I leave them red. Then, all the points in the middle section are followers. They stay at size 8. I'm going to make them magenta. All the points in the top section, all the cutting points in the top section, they are followers. They stay at size 8, and they are magenta. Now, when it comes to the spans, it's a little bit different. What we want as leaders is the 4 points along these two curves right here. Now, it's easy to find the first two because they are the first two right below these folders. Let's give them size 16. Finding the next two, you have to skip all the other points along the first span. So that's a little bit annoying. Let's select them in the window instead of trying to find them here. So here, I want to select this point here. It's a little bit tricky. You need to make sure you give the selection time to find the points and not the surfaces and not the curve. I want this one, and I'm going to control select the next one. Be very careful with these, but it's still faster to do it in the window instead of trying to find them right here. I'm going to give these size 16. Okay, while I still have these two ready right here, we need to tag them so we can find them easier later. I'm going to tag this as a leader. I'm going to copy this leader name business and give it to this other point. So now I can find these two very quickly. I'm also going to tag these first two. Just paste leader at the end of the name right here. Paste leader at the end of the name, and now here. Now I can quickly find my 4 leaders. For the sections, the leaders are simply every single point in the first folder, which is for the first section. So let's tag them all as leaders. That way, when we open a folder of points, we will know very quickly what kind they are. I could have also put leader up here, but let's just put it on the object. Drag my view just so I can see the full name. Okay. Now that we've done that, let's turn off the surfaces. So we have less things that can potentially be selected incorrectly. And let's start connecting. I'm going to do this all in the 3D view. So I select this point here on the bottom, and you have the option also. Let me show you. I'm going to have a selection filter for vertex, and that helps a little bit. It's sometimes a little bit confusing because it gives you this stop sign when you're not on top of the right object. So when you're trying to get close to the vertex, it keeps giving you the no sign. And I find that to be even harder than simply selecting it directly. So I'm going to turn this off, but you can turn it on. What I do is I wait until I have the right thing highlighted. Okay, I want this one. I want for this object, which has a U value, I want to propagate its U value for the cut to this point and to this point. How do I do that? Now that I've selected it in the view, I can hit F2 and I can copy the entire name. Now I select this point, should wait to get the highlight right here. And now in the U value, I'm going to type equal. Equal pops up this expression editor. Let me drag it out to where we can see it. In the expression editor, I'm going to paste the name of the leader point. FreeCAD says, oh, you typed in this. Do you mean this? Yes, you see how it has these little carrots in front and behind? I have a lot of issues if I try to type them in myself, so I just let FreeCAD find the object and then I click it to say yes. See, now it has put it in here and it's given me a little dot. What I want from this object is the U value, so I type U. And then FreeCAD says, oh, do you mean U? I click on here instead of typing return. This makes FreeCAD very happy. Now I can copy this formula, hit OK, and notice that for this point, this now shows in blue, which means it's a linked automatic value. If I go back and select this guy, it's still white. If I change it to 0.1 and hit F5, you'll see that these 2 points now move together. But we also want this point here to do that. So I click it, I type equal, move the expression where I can see it. But now I have already prepared the formula and I copied it. So I just paste it. And this takes me all the way to the object, the carrots, the dot, and the U. But I still click it from the drop down that FreeCAD gives me to make FreeCAD happy. I type OK, I click outside, I hit F5, and now this point moves along. I tested the synchronization by moving it to 0.1, just close to the corner. I'm going to put it at 0.4. And this does two things. It's a final check, and it also moves it closer to the middle, which is a good visual indication that we've done the work. Sure enough, when I hit F5, they move. Next one. Let's try to work faster. I want this name. I go to this object, I type equal, I paste the name, I click the name, I type U, I click the U, I copy the whole formula, I hit OK, I go straight to the top, I type equal, I paste, I accept U, and I hit OK. I go back to the bottom. First, I'm going to move it closer to the corner because this is a high value. This is 0.9. I hit F5. They both moved. I'm happy. I bring them back to the center because this is a high value. Instead of 0.4, we're going to do 0.6. Hit F5. Okay. The first curve propagates to all section. Let's move faster. This guy. Copy the name. Link it here. Type equal. Paste the name. Select the object. Type U. Select U. Copy the formula. Hit OK. From here to here to here. Equal. Paste. U. Pull it over to check. OK. We're good. QC part 1. Type 0.1, hit F5, they move. Type 0.4, hit F5, they move. This guy. Take the name. We're going to do these 2 points here. This point. Equal. Paste the object name. Actually, I'm going to do that again because I should have made it so it was visible. Paste the name. Click on the object. Type U. Confirm U. Copy the formula. OK. Up to here. Equal. Move it over. Paste the whole formula. Confirm U. OK. Test. Click the point. 0.9. F5. They move. Tuck them back. 0.6. F5. We're good. Second curve done. Next curve. It's going to be these 3. This guy. It's a leader. Steal the name. Up to the next curve. Equal. Move the window. Paste. Confirm the object. Type U. Confirm U. Steal the formula. Okay. Apply it to the next one. Equal. Paste. Confirm U. We don't need to copy because we're done with this row. Okay. Let's test it. First at 0.1. F5. We're good. 0.4. F5. We're good. I'm only going to do one test from here on. Click the next one. Steal the name. Goes up to here. Paste. Confirm object. Type U. Confirm U. Copy formula. OK. It goes up to here is the next one. Equal. Paste. Confirm. OK. And here, let's just go straight to 0.6 and watch all 3 points. Make sure they update. F5, yep, they do. Last edge of the section. It's these 3 points and these 3 points. Pick this guy. F2, copy, go over to this point. Make sure you select the point. Equal, paste, confirm object, U, copy, Oh, I mistakenly pasted instead of copying. I paste again. Select the object, type U, confirm U, copy the formula, hit OK. I'm going this way. Hit the point, equal, with the window, paste the whole formula, confirm U, OK, test. I want to select this point. I'm going to go straight to point 4, and I'm watching these 3 points. Hit F5. It worked. Last point for the sections. Copy the name. Carry it over to here. Type equal. Move the window. Paste the name of the object. Confirm the object. Type U. Confirm U. Take the formula. Copy. OK. To the last point, which is this one right here, equal, move the window, paste the whole formula, confirm U, OK, test. It was at 0.75, let's go straight to 0.6, and I am watching these 3 points. Hit F5, OK, we're good. We have synchronized all the sections. Let's hide all the points for the sections, and now we're working with these guys. Oh look, on these guys I made the leaders big, but I did not make the followers magenta. So now all the points we're going to work with are these guys here. Let's take all the ones that don't say leader and make them magenta. Same here. All these guys magenta. Okay. Now let's think about the propagation. For the spans, instead of going up, we're going to go around. And we're going to go around counterclockwise. So starting from the leader here, we're going to go to this guy, this guy, this guy. So this time, we'll prepare the formula here, and we'll paste the whole formula 2 more times. 1 leader on the span applies to 3 points. Okay. Pick this one, and that's the first one. F2, steal the name, go to here. Go back over to data, hit the U value, equal, move it over, paste the name, select the object, type U, confirm U, copy the formula, OK, and now we go to this guy. Equal, paste the whole formula, U, OK. Last one, this one, equal, move the window, paste the formula, confirm U, OK. Let's test. This one here was at 0.25. Let's do a 2-step test again. First, we're going to go down to 0.1, hit F5, all 4 moved. I'm going to go to 0.4, oops, not 4, 0.4. Hit F5, they all move, we're good. Next one, this guy. Steal the name, where does it go? It goes here, then here, then here. So first, we'll do this one. Equal, move it, Control V, click the object, U, click the U, copy the formula, OK. And remember, let's look, before we click outside, let's look at what we were doing. We were here, we went here, next one is right here. Equal, paste the whole formula. Let me do that again. I should always move the window so you can see what I'm doing. Paste the whole formula, confirm U. OK, where do we go? We go here. Equal, drag the window, paste the formula, confirm U. OK. Test. This one is high value, so first we're going to test 0.9. Hit F5. Yep, all 4 points moved up. Then tuck it back to 0.6. Hit F5. Yep, we're good. We have 2 more sets to do and we're done. Let's keep moving up in order. Oh, this object, I want to steal the name. F2, control copy, and we're gonna go to these guys. Equal, drag the window, control V. I want to point out, sometimes the expression window comes up in a good spot. Today, FreeCAD has decided to give me the window always over here, so I always have to drag it. It's very annoying. It's not always like that. It's a little bit random. But at least FreeCAD allows us to do this linking. So thank you, FreeCAD, even if you're quirky. I have pasted the name of the object. I select the object. I type U. I confirm U. Copy the formula, hit OK. Move on to the next one, counterclockwise. Equal, move, paste the whole formula, U, OK. One more, this one. Equal, paste the whole formula, confirm U, OK. Next, final row, this one. Steal the name, copy, apply. Now we're going to apply to these guys. Let's bring them into view so we don't forget which ones we're clicking. We copied this, we're going to go to this one. Equal, move window, paste the name, confirm the object, type U. This is our last formula. We apply it here. Equal, move window, paste the whole formula, confirm U. Okay, this is the last one, guys. Equal, move the window, paste, confirm U. Okay. Okay, by the way, later, when we have this whole thing made and we're just copy pasting, all of this will be done. Every time we copy paste, all of this will already be done. At some point, I intend to give a tool that makes as many sections as you want, with as many curves around as you want, and everything inside will be set up automatically. So you won't have to do this. Again, you'll only have to do this when you create something completely new with a completely different configuration of curves. But if I had done this earlier, very early on in the model, you would not have been able to see why we were doing it. And so it would have made what we were doing before even more complicated. And I don't think that would have been very helpful. Now that we have the blends, now it's worth taking the time to do this crazy copy pasting. And we're done. Let's test that. Remember how I said there's a QC step? Let's do the QC before I proudly manipulate the blend and have it blow up in front of me. This is a high value. Let's test it at 0.9, F5. Yep, they all moved. No. I don't want to edit the expression. I just want to change the value. 0.6, enter, F5, it worked. Okay. We are done editing these points unless we want to change the value. So now, from now on, we will only ever change the values on leaders. And we can clearly see in the window on the object which ones are the leaders. Okay, let's turn on our final surfaces. And for fun, let's turn them all on at the same time. We're going to turn on, I'm going to select the restored surfaces, control select the blended edge surfaces, control select the corner blend surfaces. Hit spacebar, boom. Our entire model updated. And I think it's pretty sweet. Why do we have so little of the model left? We have a gap at the bottom section and we have a gap at the top section. Well, that's because we intend to do more stuff over here, so we will need room for blend. And if you remember, we have already made the edge grids to blend. So when we connect this to the next surface, it will be very fast to create the missing pieces and finish the blend and connect the two pieces together. For now though, because I only have 3 sections and 2 spans, I want to play around with this and get more of the surfaces visible. How do I do that? Well, I need to drag these cut points down in the case of this one, and I need to drag them up in the case of this one. Now, here's the first important things. First important thing. These cut points are ordered. This one here is a cut start. It's not, they're both leaders, but one is a start and one is an end. The start always has to be closer to 0 than the end. Very quickly, I'm going to break things, and I'm going to break things by dragging the endpoint below the I'm going to drag the cut endpoint below the cut start point. Things won't make sense anymore, and we'll have to reverse what we did. This is at 0.6. I know the other one is at 0.4. I'm going to say this is 0.2, and I hit F5. It's busted. The blend's still blended, but because they flipped, this surface is unable to update. So let's go back to a sensible value, 0.6, which is where we were, and now it works. If I want to drag this down, I need to first drag the start, and I'm going to make this one 0.1. Hit F5. See, at 0.1, I'm dragging this all the way close to the bottom. Let's make it even more extreme. Let's make it 0.05. F5. Okay, so now this is pretty neat. I still see that there's a portion clipped on the bottom here that is reserved for future blending, but I see more of my model. And as a matter of fact, right now I want to make these blends really big so we can talk about them. So then I'm going to take for this span, the cut end leader, and I'm also going to drag it to the bottom, but always above this one. So this one is at 0.05. I'm going to make this one 0.25, let's say. Hit F5. Okay, so I'm blending away 75% of the surface into here, and I'm only saving 5% of the surface for the next blend. These are silly values because we would probably want to balance the size of the blends from section to section, but because we only have 3 sections and we only have 1 loop of double blends, this is a good way to look at it. Let's do the same thing on top. On top, it's the reverse. Because we want to go in this direction, first we have to move this one. So let's take this one and put it at 0.95 this time. 0.95 is the reverse of 0.05. Hit the F5 key to update, and this one moved. Select this guy and make it 0.75. Hit the F5 key, and it updated. So now I have almost the vertical blending has absorbed the majority of the surfaces. Okay. I said we were going to have copies in the final model, so let's collapse everything. Control copy, and we're going to take everything. This is now a single object, a single tool that we can copy paste and do whatever we want with. I'm going to be making the copy and moving it along in the X, so I'm going to align myself to be mostly X aligned, but still 3D. In the second patch, I go to layout, I choose the first layout. Now let me turn on these layouts, make them visible. I pick the first one. I go to its placement, position, X value, and let's go 800. Yeah, that's about far enough. I hit enter, and it immediately snaps the entire object based on its first section. Then I grab the second one, and I also put it at 800, and it snapped. You notice how fast I made it? Let's take a moment here to appreciate how crazy flexible this thing is and how the blend is still behaving. But we're on a low quality setting right now, so you can see tessellation of the blend. Right after we do this, we'll increase the resolution for one of these objects. But right now, let's just finish. Last section of the copy, X, 800. I see the layout moving in the preview. This is really nice, and it's only when I hit enter that it updates, and it updated crazy fast. Okay, on the first patch, we're just going to leave it be. And on this one, let's increase the quality of the final surfaces. The final surfaces are the free folders that are visible. The restored surfaces, go to View, make the angular deviation 1 degree, make the deviation itself 0.3. Don't go too low here. It's not necessary, and it will slow down your computer dramatically. So we need to keep things snappy. I'm going to go to 0.3. Then, next set of surfaces that are part of the final surfaces are the blended edge surfaces. 1 degree, 0.3. And see, it already had a little delay here when calculating these values. Right here, all of these, 1 degree. These are the double blends, by the way. They are the blends in between the edge blends. So they are corner blends, right? That's the name. 1 degree, 0.3. And now we're going to do our final edit and end the session. The final edit is before we change these blends by editing the red points, we're going to play a little bit with our sections. This section is at 1000 and Y. I'm going to go 1500. All right, make it bigger. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do even more. 2000. It still fits in the window, right? Ready? I'm going to hit Enter. Okay, now it's slow. I've increased the quality on these guys, so it took a second to do. And here we are. If you understand all of this, you can simply use the model I give you. And it's pretty darn fast. So let's edit this guy a little bit. On this guy, I want good white blends on the front here, let's say, but I want to narrow the ones on the back side. What does that mean? It means I want this point here, this guy. I want this guy to be back here. In the data, I want this U value to be smaller because it's already on the low side, so I want to make it even lower. I'll make this 0.1, F5. High quality, slower update. Then this one here. It's at 0.6, but I want it to be that way. So the equivalent of 0.1 is 0.9. Hit F5. Boom. Now we're using the system as it is meant to be used. Everything before was painful setup. Now we're actually designing. This is what all the pain is for. This one here, I want to reduce, but this is a 0.6 because remember the U values go counterclockwise. So if I want to bring it here, I'm going to make it 0.9, F5. Waiting, high quality. Yes, high quality. That's what we want. Nice and tight. And then here, same thing. I want to bring this point back here. In this case, it's a low value, so I make it 0.1, hit F5. High quality means slower update, but it works. Okay, I don't want to see the layouts anymore, and I don't want to see the curves anymore, and I don't even want to see the points anymore. Here we go. When you understand how the system works, you can snap one of these and you can make whatever you want out of it. Matter of fact, let's have some fun. Let's turn on the control sketches, pick this one, edit it. Right here, and this guy here, 30. Let's do something very crazy. Oh no, before we go crazy, you have to remember that we're going to need to break an equality constraint here. So let's make this start by 50. With this, see how long that takes. It takes a little bit longer, right? And it also, because it's so big, it kind of lost what we meant. When we said we want all these to be equal, we didn't really mean this. Let's take the equality constraint in the middle and delete it. It takes a moment to update, but that's why we would probably want to reduce the quality. Now here, I'm going to give this a new size. It's not happy with me. You know, I need to delete one more constraint before I can do this. I'm going to delete the parallel constraint. That should give it a lot more freedom. Okay, now I have some freedom, but it's going to take a long time to update. So we have to be really careful when we edit these things. You have to plan your sketch edits so you're not stuck in an update loop, or you can lower the quality. We'll work on this later as a separate topic. For now, I just stop it, and here we go. Now look, it still blends. Is this a good design? I don't know, but this is pretty darn powerful. You can do a lot with this model, and all you need to know, all you need is you need to know what things are and how they work. Because I'm going to share this file with you. I'm going to save it, and I hope to catch you next time.